And then I want to thank a few people who make this possible. We are a nonprofit organization, and tickets cover about 12 to 15% of the cost to do what we do. And what we do is bring a lot of great educational programs on a wide variety of topics to our community throughout the year. And we're really dedicated to serving our local community, and I love what we do. And so it's the people who support us that make it possible. So first of all, I want to thank all of our donors, and then I want to thank some key people. I want to thank the town of Vail. I want to thank the Four Seasons for letting us be here tonight. I want to thank the Antlers at Vail, Alpine Bank. I want to thank Futurian Systems for providing us with the video tonight. And so we couldn't do anything without them. So could we give them all a round of applause? I'm not going to do a large introduction for Donese Worden, because you're going to find out all about her in her presentation. But I particularly want to thank her for coming to spend the evening with us, to share some time, to share her story and everything that she's working on. If you find this compelling and you have time, she's going to do a workshop tomorrow, same at the Four Seasons, but it's going to be across the way in the Fulford room. And that will be 3.5 hours starting at 9:30 tomorrow morning. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up tonight at the registration table, or sign up tonight online. So thank you again for coming. And Donese, thank you. And I'm going to just turn it over to you, okay?
All right.
Let's give her a big round of applause.
All right. Can you hear me all right? Good? All right. I understand there's a nice concert outside tonight. I appreciate you being here instead of out in this beautiful weather at a nice concert. So hopefully I'm going to give you some information that will help your health and help your life so that you can attend many concerts after this, okay? So I am a naturopathic medical doctor. What is that? I write prescriptions, I do minor surgery. All of these things are part of what we do, and I am licensed in Arizona to do all of these things. So we're a primary care physician. I do everything that a regular traditional doctor does, but I'm also licensed in the alternative medicines. Obviously, that's where I want to stay and where we like to be. If I have to get my prescription pad out, it's only for one time for an immediate something, and that's rare that the prescription pad comes out. So I do a lot of research. I design and conduct clinical research. I've got some at MD Anderson, Mayo Clinic, Duke University. So everything that I do has at least a scientific rationale behind it, even though it may sound very woo.
All right. So everything that I'll talk to you a little bit about tonight has a scientific rationale behind it, or at least a history of what it's going on. So I do formulation, a product formulation, so I understand the nutrition industry, and I understand how we have to be very careful when you select your products, because I know the raw materials, and I know that there's no other way to say it, that most of what you're buying out there is probably not what it says it is on that label, and even worse, may have things in there that shouldn't be there. So we have to be careful, and I'm going to tell you tonight some questions to ask whenever you try to use nutrition. And I lecture all over for the public, but I do a lot of CME lectures, and that's continuing medical education for doctors. Traditional doctors are looking, especially in pain management, and other areas, but that they say we're failing, we're not doing very well in our medicine. And so they're looking for alternatives, and they're looking for something that has scientific rationale. So I'm on the road a lot doing continuing medical education for physicians. So yes, traditional doctors do want to learn and are interested. Those who don't and have their box closed, I don't have time for them, and it's okay. Pain management, I am a diplomate in the American Academy of Pain Management. That's as high as you get in the ranking of pain management. And I love to work on the natural side of that. Natural aesthetics, and you'll say, why are you in that? Well, when you do natural injections for pain management, you might as well do the aesthetics. I'm into the no tox versus Botox. My patients come to me and say that we really want to look healthier and look younger, but we don't necessarily want the overdone look, and that's okay. And I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. the wannabe Beverly Hills, but there is a great number of people that are interested in that. Some of my specialized training, I am adjunct faculty at Arizona State University and Akamai University. I developed a course at ASU for integrative medicine. It's a master's level course, and I teach that. I'm also a board member on a lot of different things, from these regenerative injections that I'll be talking about a little bit tonight, cold lasers, bioenergetic medicine, lots of things, and I'm just going to keep going. Now, I've got an hour and a half worth of slides, and we've got about less than an hour now. So I'm going to go kind of quick, but that's okay. Don't worry about all this on these slides. Try to listen to me just a little bit, and I think we'll get through most of the important things. Why do people come see naturopathic doctors or any kind of doctor? These are the most common questions. What should I be eating? How do I lose weight? What is an anti-aging regime? First of all, there is no such thing as anti-aging. We're all aging, and we're going to. However, we might be able to slow it down. How do I stay healthy? And I think the most important question that you could ever ask any doctor is, what's the root of my problem? A gentleman before we started here tonight shared with me that he had neuropathy, and I said, do you know why? And he said, well, I think it may have something to do with my diabetes. So he understands that. But if you have a symptom and you don't know what's causing it, then you're going to be throwing traditional medicine at it and natural medicine at it. You need to find out what's causing it. Then you can treat it, and you've got lots of options. So the same answer for all of these questions is put in what's needed, what are you missing, and take out what's not. What should you be taking out? The things that environmentally are really playing havoc on our bodies. You have to work on the whole body. And even Plato in his dialogue says the part can never be well unless the whole is well. You can't cure the eyes without the head without the body. So you can't attempt to cure the body without the soul. And that I have found through my 20 years, 2 decades in practice. I can be very, very good diagnostician on the physical side. I can help you on the mental side, even the emotional side, but if you have a spiritual disconnect, you feel lost, you don't feel connected to something, nature, God, Buddha, to something, it's hard for someone to feel whole. So I work with my patients on that. And sorry, it's a little blurry, but this says, be honest with me, doc. How much longer do I have to ignore your diagnosis? So even when you find out what's wrong, you don't want to know about it. Or maybe I will work on it later. And I'm going to ask you tonight to start thinking about, let's work on it now. Let's talk about the United States and how we compare with other countries. We significantly outspend, usually 4 times the amount of all the other countries, and per capita more than all of them, and we have a similar, if not less, life expectancy. We spend more on health care per person, $9,237, and that's compared to the best life expectancy, which is $2,000 a person. So it's not about money, and we're maybe putting our money into the wrong research, into the wrong things. What do we get for all the money? What do we get for that? We have the absolute best system in the entire world for treating emergency medicine. If you're having a heart attack or you have an emergency, you want to be in America. Trust me, I've been in other countries and taken people to these hospitals, and I'm trying to tell the ER docs there what they should be doing. It's scary because I'm not an emergency medicine doc. So we have the best emergency medicine, but we are an unmitigated failure at treating chronic illness. Our statistics are very, very poor. We lag near the bottom. And here's Bloomberg Health Care. It was created in 2012. Who are at the top? Hong Kong and Singapore. Smaller countries, right? And they're spending less, and they live longer than we do. In the US, our life expectancy is 78.9 years. Only a few countries rank lower than we do. We're outspending, and we have the highest infant mortality rate. I could go on and on and on, how we're not doing as well as we'd like. And I like this. Dr. Benjamin Rush And I think that we really, really need to really rethink our medical system from bottom up. Unless we put medical freedom into the Constitution, the time will come when medicine will organize into an undercover dictatorship to restrict the art of healing to one class of men and deny equal privileges to others. The Constitution of the Republic should make a special privilege for medical freedom as well as religious freedom. We need to go back, and I believe that, because when we have natural medicine like we have available and not having insurance cover it, there's a problem because it works. Lifestyle. Is it our lifestyle? Why are we so poor at these chronic degenerative diseases? Well, females who smoke range from 14% in Japan to 41% in Denmark. We're at about 24%. We're fifth best. We're fifth down for the amount of alcohol that we drink. And we have a low consumption of animal fats, although I'm going to talk more about that later. So it's not necessarily the lifestyle. What are the leading causes of death in the United States, right? Here's the big picture. 75% of all deaths are attributed to just 10 causes. The top 3 account to 50% of deaths. 50% are 3 things. Over the last 5 years, the main causes have remained fairly constant. So here they are. Heart disease, but cancer is right behind it. And as the statistics are going with cancer, because we're living longer, we're going to see more of it, cancer will be number 1 very soon. Number 3 is chronic respiratory diseases. These are causes of death. And number 4, I'm going to ask for some shout outs in a minute to see if you can guess. But look down in the top 10, what's the 10th one? Is suicide, intentional self-harm, causes of death. Okay, anybody take a guess? What's number 4? What's number 4? What now?
Doctor error.
Doctor error. Well?
Pharmaceutical interactions.
Very good, but I'm going to tell you that's part of number 4. Those are called accidents, right? But here's unnecessary surgeries, medication errors, right? Other errors in hospitals, infections in hospitals. But here's non-error negative effects of drugs. The doctor didn't make a mistake. He didn't give you the wrong drug according to what you had. It's just 106,000 deaths from these drugs, but it wasn't the doctor's mistake. But this is scary, 250,000 deaths from what's called iatrogenic causes, which means physician-induced. They gave you the right thing in the right moment. They didn't make a mistake. They didn't make a mistake. For overall, what we're doing in our medical care is number 4 in causes of death. So, what about, we have all these great labs. Why are we not doing this as well as we could? First of all, the lab values are based on a young male, a 150-pound male college-age student. What does that have to do with a middle-aged woman? Those values, right? And most doctors, unless it's outside of the value, you're not going to hear about it. And sometimes it is, and they just missed it because they're too darn busy. And they've got, at most, 5 minutes with you, right? But we try to look at it, if you're close to the edges, that's the time for prevention. You're in normal range, but you're too close to the edge. That's the way it should be looked at. So these labs are there, and they're good, but I would encourage you to develop a wellness board, your own wellness board. You need a traditional medical doctor if you have insurance. We want to use it. If you end up in the hospital or you have something that needs a traditional type of care, you want a traditional doctor that's going to work with you and utilize your insurance. But also, maybe you want an alternative doctor. Now, some of us, we can give you the codes and you can get insurance reimbursement. There are ways to do it. But even if not, even if you have to come out of pocket and have someone else that will spend time with you. I mentioned a minute ago that the national average for a primary care under insurance model to see you is 4 to 7 minutes. I can't learn much about you. My first visit is 2 hours. Now I'm asking you every piece of you because it's all connected, and maybe I'm going to be able to find the root of the problem, right? So it's not the doctor's fault. They just don't have time. And what do they usually say? And even on some of the doctor's offices' walls now, it says, only come in with one complaint. We do not have time to hear about 2 or 3 things you have going on. We only have time to talk about one. If I can't see the whole, I can't help very much. Then I'm just giving you something to mask a symptom. And even if it's a natural treatment, yes, it may have less side effects, but it's still masking the root of the problem. You want to find out what it is. So, Americans spend a lot of money on natural treatments. In 2012, that's the last statistics that they've looked at, $30 billion. So an average of $500 per person, right? 59 million Americans. But I will tell you this, many don't admit it. I guarantee it's a lot larger than this. They go to their traditional doctor and they don't tell them they went to see their acupuncturist or they went to see their naturopath or their holistic practitioner because they don't want to stir the boat. And remember, you've got 4 minutes. You can't have the debate. So those numbers are larger. Main reasons that come for natural is pain, heart health, anti-aging, and weight loss. Let's talk about weight loss for a minute. I'm not going to go to, because this group's looking pretty darn healthy out there. But we've got 29 million Americans at 9.3% have diabetes. 86 million are pre-diabetic, and a third on top of that don't even know they have it. Diabetes cost Americans more than any other disease, $1.1 billion in 2013. It's the leading cause of all these bad things down here. Nerve damage and neuropathy is one of them. But here's the sad thing. It's 100% preventable. Type 2 diabetes preventable and actually reversible, even if you've gone beyond where you should be. Glucose over 90, watch out. If your doctor tells you that's fine, First morning fasting glucose in the low 80s. If you're not, you need to start looking at what you're putting in your body and the stress that you have. And hemoglobin A1C tells you a 3-month look at what your blood sugar has been averaging. That's the number you want to see. Don't be fooled by all these artificial sweeteners. I won't go into it, but we know they cause cancer. They're neurological problems with your brain. They actually cause more insulin resistance. In the long run, you will gain more belly fat and gain more weight by artificial sweeteners than you will real sugar. Stop with the artificial sweeteners if you're doing that, thinking it's helping you. It's not. So this is a funny one. It says, wow, this is really heavy reading. Foods that turn to sugar. Everything turns to sugar. Vegetables, meats, everything. It's how fast they turn. So carbs, sugars, obviously, those are a problem. And if you're on that diabetic spectrum, fruits are not a great thing for you. Everything healthy you get from fruit, you get in a vegetable without the sugar. You're not missing anything. So more vegetables, a little less sugar. Diabetes is increasing. We won't go into that. Lack of exercise and stress. This is a typical patient. Control my diet, control my lifestyle, control my carbs. What are you, some kind of freak? So patients will come in and say, are you going to take me off my coffee? It's the first thing. I said, no, I'm not going to take you off of anything. I'm going to educate you, and it's going to be your choice. So we've got to get into this. This is, I think, is interesting, is that there's a depression and diabetes connection in young people. These young adults with a history of depression have an increased risk of developing diabetes. There's a big reason for all that I won't get into tonight, but insulin resistance and that blood glucose is huge. U.S. adults, 2/3 are overweight, 30% are obese, and fast foods, we know, affect learning and memory. What is a healthy weight? Where should you be? Good grief, how do you measure it? It's not what that scale says, because if you start working out and increasing your muscle mass, you're going to increase your weight. It's about your body composition. There's all kinds of, you probably have gyms around here. You go stand on a device, it tells you what percentage of you is fat, muscle, and water. That's what you want to know. That's what, and if you have increased belly fat, which is visceral fat, the fat around the organs, that's the dangerous fat. That's the one that will kill you and cause all those chronic degenerative problems. So that's most important, is what percentage of all these things are you? You may not have enough muscle mass. So the weight is also the BMI, your waist to hip ratio. That's a fairly good measurement as well for seeing your chronic degenerative. And There's all kinds of free apps for BMI for you to look yourself up and see. Leptin is a hormone that's been discovered probably, 15 years ago. Remember lecturing on it, but it's the signal that tells your body I'm full, and it also tells you store fat, don't store fat. Some people say, I eat, and they give me their food journals. They're eating extremely healthy, they're exercising, they're doing everything. And they're really not stressing. Their cortisol levels are okay. What is it? It can be this leptin, and we have ways naturally to work with that. But leptin is a very important hormone that has to do with weight. So what about this calorie restriction? What do we know about it? Over 2,000 studies have been completed. We know it increases your longevity. You will live longer, you will live healthier, you will do better, and you will have less diseases if you restrict your calories. I'll talk about what that looks like in a minute. But lowers inflammation levels, and inflammation is the root of every chronic degenerative disease. Diabetes, heart disease, cancer, arthritis, you name it. Inflammation's the bad guy, and that's what we want to get after. And also, calorie restriction, anti-tumor effects, lots of studies. My friend and colleague at the University of Florida, Dominic D'Agostino, is studying the ketogenic diet with our super soldiers. He's funded by the Department of Defense, by NASA and the Department of Defense. They said, what is the healthiest way to eat? What is it? What does it look like to keep our soldiers where they can do the rebreathers? They can do all the things they need to do. They studied it, hyperbaric oxygen and a ketogenic diet. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But ketogenic is what? What is high in what? Anybody know? What are you high in? There's fat, so let's say fat, carb, and protein. Which one is it high in? Nope, fat. High fat, 20% protein. It's not an Atkins high protein. Atkins and high protein is hard on your kidneys, especially as we age. High fat, good fats, good for the brain, good for the joints, and these are our muscular guys. But you have to 100% do it, because if you eat high fat and you're still eating your carbs and your sugar, you're going to gain weight. You have to do it or don't do it. So this is another way of calorie restriction. Oh, and I lost 30 pounds and my blood sugar levels have been going down daily. You can put yourself on an island, or you can say, I can try to decrease my caloric intake by 30 to 40%. Now that's from an average American. Looking in this group, you probably don't need to decrease that much. Live My Fitness, there's a lot of apps you put in there where you want to be, tells you how much you calculates and how much you should be eating in calories. And then figure out what you like, and don't calorie count. It's not fun. You don't want to do it, but you do need to figure it out and know kind of where you're at. You may not be eating enough, especially of the right kinds of foods. Ketogenic diet, great way to do. So this is an old ad, right? Eat, 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 and always stay thin. Fat is banished. And so this was an ad to sell you tapeworms to help you lose weight. So we've come a long ways, but I don't suggest you go purposely infect yourself with a tapeworm, but, and there's a lot of things out there right now. There is green laser that I work with a little bit. There's all kinds of cool sculpting. Let's burn it off, let's freeze it off, let's do. Some people it can work for, some people it can't. Sometimes it causes dimpling, like liposuction. Be careful is all I'm going to say. I would prefer you to do it the right way. Then there's not a fast, simple way. Cardiovascular health. Remember, #1 killer of men and women claims the lives of almost 40%, more than 2.4 million Americans who die each year. So what is it? What is it about the cardiovascular health? What caused the heart attack? What caused? We know that homocysteine levels, that's a level that has to do with the inflammation that you're going to create and create blood clots. We have tests now. This MTHFR gene, it stands for methyl trihydrofolate. Don't worry about it. What it means is, if you have a genetic pathway that is not allowing those B vitamins you're taking for stress to work properly, you're doing yourself more harm than good. You need a certain form of folic acid, a methylated folic acid, and that can save your life because it will bring your homocysteine levels down. Ask your doctors. Insurance pays for this. MTHFR gene. If you have it, it will tell you your risk of cardiovascular disease, not just what your cholesterol level is. And have we proven that just lowering your cholesterol in the diet reduces the risk of heart disease? No, we have not. We have not. None of the drugs prevent the arteries from hardening if the homocysteine is high. The root of the problem of cardiovascular disease is inflammation. You cannot form a plaque without it. It causes calcification. Can't do it. It doesn't matter what your cholesterol levels are, how low you get them, if you still have that homocysteine and that inflammation going. And if you bring your cholesterol down too low, what does cholesterol eventually make? It's the precursor. It makes hormones. Testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, they're all made from cholesterol. So bringing that cholesterol down too low, not a good idea. Secret killer, Time Magazine did it. It is inflammation. We talked about that. Inflammation's the bad guy. We call it inflammaging, right? So we know, you name a disease, including cancer, based in inflammation. And when I give these presentations in detail, like just this one would be a 2-hour lecture for docs with all the cytokines and all the things that we know. But for you guys to know, anti-inflammatory drugs, anti-inflammatory natural things will help you greatly. Allopathic pain management. When I graduated from medical school, I was in a group of traditional allopathic pain management docs. They did their shots, their corticosteroids, they did their, their disc. You guys probably all know all about it. Anybody at a certain age knows a little bit about pain management. But these are all they kind of have. None of these are without side effects. None. And we've just gotten word in the last week about opiates. I don't know if it's been coming through your news like it has our national in Arizona. Literally, even if you get a major surgery now, docs are only going to prescribe you about 3 days of opiates because in 3 days you're addicted. So it's become such an epidemic. So there's lots of reasons not to take NSAIDs. And look at this, Aleve was the first non-prescription NSAID to be added to the list of painkillers associated with heart attacks and strokes. Taking these things and thinking you're doing what we need to be doing. So increased cardiovascular incidence with NSAID use. So just saying, oh, I'll just take a little bit of aspirin, I'll just take an NSAID, a Tylenol to bring down my inflammation. No, there's better ways to do it. Lots of ways that we can look at, and I won't get into all this. This is interesting. I thought you might like this. Women who drink more than 1 cup of decaf coffee quadruples the risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis. But regular coffee, we don't see any risk with it. The decaffeination process is full of chemicals, right? So if you're going to do decaf, get an organic decaf. But 3 cups of green tea, 60% reduction in the risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis. So we know some things about what you can do with your lifestyle. I'll go quickly through this. Natural anti-inflammatories, many, many studies, no negative side effects. Boswellia, curcumin, omega-3s. Now, and we know that environmental toxins are highly related and cause the inside of your vessels that go to your heart, the endothelial inflammation. We know that they are part of that, and they can be modified by good nutrition. Vitamin D. Do you think in Arizona that I see a lot of vitamin D deficiency? Everybody goes, no. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we do, just as much as you have here. You have to have the base molecule for the sun to convert it. My tennis players and golfers that are out there, the pros, all the time, are still vitamin D deficient. What is vitamin D? It's not a vitamin, it's mostly a hormone. When it was discovered, it was a little tiny piece of it is a vitamin. It is a hormone, and it is being blocked, like all of our other hormones, by environmental toxins. Hormone, yes, everybody, unless they're on a supplement, they're vitamin D. Here's another thing. Should you take vitamin D by itself? Is it a good thing, or should you combine it with, let me see, my group. Anybody know what vitamin D needs to be taken with? so it's not dangerous. Vitamin K. Calcium by itself causes calcification. It needs to be the way Mother Nature provided it. Calcium, magnesium in form. Vitamin D by itself causes calcification. Not good, right? That's in your joints, in your heart. Vitamin D needs to be with vitamin K. What time of day should it be taken for best absorption? Nighttime. So if your doc goes, oh, your vitamin D is a little low, just take some vitamin D. They don't tell you to take it with K. That's a problem, and it should be at night. So that's why your wellness board, I ask you to try to put together. Get with someone who really understands nutrition and can really help you. It's not about... Now, cardiovascular, we're talking a little bit because it's number one killer, remember, is that if I had to guess without doing any labs on you, I would say the one thing that would hit all the different pieces, so there's bad cholesterol, good cholesterol. There's a lot of little bad cholesterols that make up that big number. It depends on which ones you have, how it should be treated. And the really bad guy, lipoprotein A, that has really been connected with heart attacks and strokes, cardiovascular disease, is not touched by a single medication that we have. Not any of the statins, none of the oral absorption inhibitors, none of them touch it. The only thing that does is niacin. So if I had to guess, without knowing anything about you, niacin's a good thing to bring down the bad cholesterols. Exercise, we all know that. We know also, I would say, be careful. The endurance athletes can get a little increase in the ventricles. It is a muscle like every other muscle, and if you do way too much, you can increase those walls and it works a little harder. So everything is about balance. Belief. This is interesting, is that it's a whole lecture I'd love to give, and I'll get more into it tomorrow, but your belief system is so important in your health. This was just a study, and they took maids, and they told the same group of maids that did the exact same thing every single day. They put one group over here in a room and told them, listen, what you're doing is really, you should be burning calories. In fact, you should be losing weight by what you're doing. They did. They lost an average of 2 pounds. They lowered their blood pressure by 10%, drops in their body fat, their body mass index, and their waist to hip ratio. It worked because they believed it did. This other group that wasn't told that didn't lose anything. There are so many studies about this. Your belief system, very important. Fun exercise doesn't have to be just go to the gym and you hate it. Men who have sex at least twice a week can nearly half the risk of heart disease. Now the women may be going, oh gosh, please don't tell me that. And the men are like, yes, she said, my doctor said. But less likely, you can see all the benefits of this. So we really believe that doctors should be asking, and I do on my intake, about your sexual activity level, because it has to do with intimacy in your relationship, and it also has to do with heart disease and exercise. Big business, supplement sales exceed 30 billion annually. Lipitor, more than all the supplement sales combined. Just one drug sells more than all of the supplements. We're reaching, and remember, that drug, you won't see a commercial that says, take this without exercise and diet to lower your cholesterol and your risk of blah, 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 blah. They will always have to say along with diet and exercise. You listen. Do you even need it? 95% of all diseases are degenerative. We know that science has linked nutrition to disease prevention. 80% of cancers come from environmental pollution. And average American consumes 6 pounds of artificial chemicals a year, even as clean as you try to be. So FDA reports, I won't get into such detail here, but I did at the beginning. We've got to be real careful with the supplements that you're taking. And I would ask you to understand a little bit more about them. Herbs are regulated as food, right? They may or may not be dietary supplements. Dietary supplements, your supplements, are food and drugs, right? So they have the same regulation as the food at your grocery store, which is not very much, right? And homeopathics, though, interesting, they are regulated as drugs. Far more stringent regulations for them. Product quality and safety, everybody believes, yeah, it's not good enough, and it's not. Won't get into this. This is scary, is that 32 of Asian patented medicines, were 32% contain undeclared pharmaceuticals or heavy metals. You've got to be careful when you go to your acupuncturist, so you're using your Chinese medicine, you need to be careful. And many of them contain lead, mercury, or arsenic. Now, not just those, that's all the supplements on the shelf. Because if you take a plant, even if it's organic, wild-crafted, it still has lead in the ground. And when you concentrate that into a pill, it still could have high levels of lead and arsenic. So you want the companies that do the testing on the raw materials to see if it's there. And if it is, they extract it, and they extract it the right way, not with chemicals. So you will learn to ask for a certificate of analysis, C of A. Anything you take on a daily basis or a regular basis, you need to go to your health food store, wherever you're buying it, or from your doctors that carry it, and say, do you have a certificate of analysis? If they say, no, we don't, move on. Do not use that company. It's inexpensive to do, and they should be doing it. I'm an advocate for this. You may be doing more harm than good. Okay, so you ask for a C of A. Can't I get it from my food? I wish. It's just not in the ground anymore. We've depleted the ground. The nutrients aren't there, especially the minerals, which if you're going to take anything, I would say take multi-mineral, even over a multivitamin. That's what we're really deficient in. U.S. government surveyed 21,000 people, found that not one single person consumed 100% of the RDA from the foods they ate. The RDA is too low. That's just the amount just to keep you out of a severe illness. It's not an optimal level. It's just the base level. No one. It's not in our foods. 57% of the nutritional value can be lost from farm to table. A head of lettuce every year, you look at the nutrient value in it, it's less and less and less. We track these things, and not to mention all the environmental. Closest, freshly picked in season organic. Yes, they can remineralize some of the ground. And if you're going to do whole grains, which I would suggest don't do a lot, but whole grains made from flour ground fresh daily. That's kind of hard to do. Better to stay away from them. Hormones, 1.1 billion menopausal women by 2025. Watch out, fellas, because we're getting older, baby boomers are getting there, so everybody's saying, what about hormones? And men, the low T thing, menopause. Are they safe? I'll talk more about it tomorrow, but hormones are hormones, and there's no way to know whether it's feeding a cancer, but there's ways to manage them and keep them in a range and keep you safe. Maybe, but there's a lot of factors that you need to look at individually before you go, oh, I just want to take some hormones to feel better. You don't look anything like the long-haired, skinny kid I married 25 years ago. I need a DNA sample to make sure it's still you. So hormones are amazing, but they're not without risk. And this one, I think you kids have had your last bowl of Kellogg's testosterone frosted flakes. And it's gotten to that point. I don't know if it's as rampant here in Colorado, but in Arizona, everybody wants to be on hormones. And I just have to have a big education with them about their risk factors when they do. Sexuality, 43% of women have a sexual dysfunction, 31% of men. Problems decrease for women as they age. They're more comfortable with their body, and when they were young and trying to look perfect, and then you finally get over it. And it increases for men. Because once a man has his first episode of not being able to perform, it's stuck in his head. If it's not a mechanical problem, which a lot of times it's not, cardiovascular, it's in their head, and it's hard to get them out of it. But we talk about this in my practice. Female sexuality is far more complex and variable than male. Male, it's pretty much an off-on switch. Women, they have all kinds of bells and knobs and whistles, have to look pretty, the house is clean, the kids are taking all these things to keep our brain, to get us ready. They're actually different. Men's and women's brains, sex center, are in different areas of the brain. We are different, and we need to understand that. And does sexual chemistry last? This is interesting. Chemicals that cause people to find partners sexually attractive last at most 2 years. And interesting is about that, there's a smell thing. The more dissimilar you are, you don't smell like the other person, the more far apart, the more attracted you are to them. That's propagation of the species, trying to not marry your brother, right? So that only lasts about 2 years. After that, other hormones, oxytocin comes in, and it's the cuddle hormone. So it's okay to not have that drive anymore and think something's wrong with either of you. No, our hormones change. It's okay. Now, foods. Medical journals link foods to over 50 chronic conditions. Many people have food allergies and food sensitivities. There's an immediate sensitivity, there's a delayed. All this means is there's a blood test that you draw, not the skin prick ones. The skin prick ones are good for pollens and grasses, very inaccurate for foods. And those are immediate. If you have an allergy to that pineapple back there, you know it. I don't need to test you for it. But the delayed sensitivities are the foods that cause a common inflammation in you all the time. Some foods take 72 hours for it to start making you feel bad. That cause of inflammation many times can be found in the foods you're eating, and it's a blood test that can be done. Very important. One of the best tests I do for my patients. Today, it just came out today in Scientific American, my nerdy magazine, the brain-gut connection, won't get into it, but the gut is the second brain. There's an enteric nervous system. This nervous system in your GI is larger than all the other nervous systems that you think about down your back. Very important to get your gut health. So as naturopaths, we say if we get you pooping and sleeping, you're in good shape. If you're not sleeping and pooping, we've got trouble, right? Body's pretty amazing. There are actually brain allergies caused by these foods. And do you think you're losing your mind? BMI, that's how fat you are, 30% or more, you're 74% more likely to succumb to dementia and Alzheimer's, right? It's affecting our brains. It's not, oh, we have this Alzheimer's epidemic. Yes, we do. But look how many Americans are fat, right? Here's Alzheimer's. And it's disturbing. And those who, odds of developing quadruples, odds of developing Alzheimer's, quadruples in people less active during their leisure time. You guys are all here on what night is this? Thursday night? Yeah. So probably preaching to the choir. All these things can happen when we have foods and problems that bother us. Now, your DNA, right? It is not your destiny. At most, DNA is 30% of whether you're going to have a disease or not. You say, oh, my parents both had heart disease. Get over it, 30%. The other 70% is in your control. And if you eat and do what they did, you probably will have heart disease. But you can control it. Epigenetics is the things in your lifestyle that you do that turn off the bad genes and turn on the good ones. That's where the science is. That's what I like to follow, are the epigenetic studies that come in. I get up at about 4 a.m. every morning. I am a nerd and read the latest research in the science. Epigenetics, what can we do with those genes that we're in control? Just because you have a gene doesn't mean that it needs to express. We can control it, okay? Tip of the iceberg is genomics. The bottom of that iceberg is epigenetics. So, won't go into this. Longevity, genes account for about 35% of how long you're going to live. Diet and lifestyle is much more important. Telomeres, those are little chromosome type things that you're born with them. Let's say they were born this long. As we age every year, they get a little shorter, a little shorter. When they get short enough, we die. So the telomeres are important. We're finding out more and more about things that help us hold on to the length of the telomeres. Some of them are like resveratrol in wine. Now don't get too excited, because here's a list of which wines are highest in resveratrol. But to have it be active in you and extend your life and help you with anti-inflammatory and tumors and all kinds of things, you'd have to drink about 30 glasses of wine a night to equal one supplement. So I wouldn't encourage that. But it does help, even a little bit. Dosing time for resveratrol, this is just a touch of, it's important when you take your supplements. Resveratrol Pro-oxidant causes oxidative damage and cleaning out, which is okay, during the daytime. If you want an antioxidant, at night. Drink your wine at night, not for breakfast. But bioavailability is higher in the morning. Anything that you decide to take that you think is for your health, you need someone who can tell you when you should be taking that particular thing and why you, as an individual, need to take it. When I have patients come in with bags of supplements, I make them bring in everything that they're on. Their medication supplements, and I say, do you realize all that has to go through your kidney and your liver? Why are you on that one? No, I don't know, I read it was good. Well, why are you on that one? I don't know, something to do with my heart. Do you have a heart problem? Not that I know of. It's not good. If you're on more than 5 or 6 natural things, I think it's probably too much. You need to be smarter and get one thing that covers many avenues, right? It's not about more, it's about being smarter. How toxic are we? We know it, we're born toxic. At last, the world we live in is toxic. I won't get too much into this, but this is sad. In 200 women, that should be in 2000, women they were tested. What this means is they tested the placentas of pregnant women. All of them had exposures from these PAHs, from combustion. They were found in every single one except one. Our children are born toxic, not just heavy metals, but all these legendary chemicals. They're born. It's crossing the placenta. It's there. So don't get too upset about that. I see somebody out there with one cooking in the oven there. Remember, our DNA is smart, and I think our DNA is going to figure it out. But we've got to make sure diet and lifestyle is going to help us out. But babies are being born toxic. Likely 80% of all cancer comes from an environmental pollution. You don't hear that from your traditional doc. You just hear you've got melanoma, or you've got basal cell, or you've got a cancer. Did you ask them, why do I have it? Well, we don't know. Because look at the studies. There are some genetics, but 1 to 2% of cancers, 1 to 2% of cancers are genetic. All the others are not. What's causing it? Big piece, environmental. Sorry. So we get 6 pounds of artificial chemicals a year. EWG, Environmental Working Group, it's a good group. Follow them. They have a free app. They'll tell you what foods, what brands you've got for your makeup. Lead has, lipstick has lead in it. You can buy what you need to buy and rate it. They rate it. They don't just say what the company tells them. They actually take it in their lab and test it. So if you want to know you're getting a good quality whatever, from food to your skincare products, your shampoos, all of it, EWG, it's a great one. Total body burden, your adipose tissue, your fat tissue. US, most people have about 700 chemical contaminants. So, and there's 5 to 7 requests for new chemicals to bring to market per day. EPA brought in a lot of legendary ones. They just let them in. Said we can't test them all. They still can't test them all. And there's new ones every day, not just the old ones. This is also disturbing. Your great-grandmother's chemical exposures may affect you, and those are the epigenetic changes that we're starting to see. And that was from exposures generations ago. Okay, but don't give up hope. Our body's amazing, I'll tell you about that. But don't worry, the USDA says no cause for alarm. Don't worry, they told us it's all okay. You will have the access, I think, to these slides later. They're putting together the video, and you'll be able to see that we're not okay, and we do have cause for alarm. This is somebody, if you like to follow this, Dr. Leroy Hood. He's in Seattle. He's really looking at the systems biology and evaluating all the things that we're talking about, the genetics and the environment and the detoxification. That's where our money should be going, is this kind of research. Where do the toxic metals come from? Everywhere. People go, I test heavy metals, I do urine testing, and they go, where did I get this lead? Where did I get this arsenic? Everywhere. It's in your air, your water, your food. It just collects over years. It causes calcification, which causes all kinds of things. What's more important is in your topicals and your shampoos and your lipsticks and all that stuff, more important is what's not in it than what's in it. They can go, oh, it has chamomile in it, and it's got, you know, all these wonderful natural, it'll say natural on the bottle, and you go, that's great. Turn it over and read the ingredients over anything. don't want any of these, and there's a longer list than this, but you want free of many things. And perfume, that sounds okay, doesn't it? Look in your degree, say, I'll say perfume, and you go, oh, it's got perfume. One of the most toxic things that we can put in them, because they can hide it under that. EMF toxicity, cell phones, microwaves, television, we're bombarded. We can't get away from it now. You're out here in Vail, which is wonderful. You've got grounding with the ground, I won't get into all that, but you've got wonderful things, but you still have EMF. We all have cell phones, and you've still got towers. Can't get away from it. So what are we going to do about all this stuff? What is it? The key lies, how does a cheetah run 70 miles per hour? You cannot explain that. By the nervous system, the musculoskeletal system, there is no explanation why it can do that. How can these athletes out here do some of the things they do in the speed they do it? It cannot be the nervous system. It is too slow. It can't work. Dr. Gorgi, he won a Nobel Prize. He's the one that found vitamin C. He did a lot of things, but he started talking about the electronic biology. Your body being a solid state biochemistry. We are a battery, positive and negative poles. Said life is too rapid and subtle to be explained by slow moving chemical reactions and nerve impulses. The things we do cannot be explained by what we learn in anatomy and physiology class. Can't happen. So, what is it? And how does a salamander, you cut its tail off, regrow it? We're studying those things. We're studying it. And it's thought to be because of the electrical part, the chemical electrical ability that it has. So, we know about the nervous system. You know about your nerves. If you've ever had those hurt, you know. We know about the circulatory. That's your blood going through there. There's another system called the living matrix, and it's all the things in between the rest. That matrix part of your body, that electrical conducting, electrical magnetic body, is where most of the information sends to the rest of the body. We know this because we can do an acupuncture point. It was interesting that this is a while back, and in 1998, there was a group, I think it was, I can't remember, Harvard National Academy of Sciences. It was presented there, but I think it was Harvard, and they said, listen, if this electrical chi thing, acupuncture thing's working, we should be able to measure it. So they said, okay, what if you wanted to change eyesight? And so the acupuncturist said, that's in the bladder meridian. And they go, yeah, okay, whatever that means. Bladder meridian for your eyesight. They said, okay, where is that? They said, in the foot. They said, so you're going to put a needle in the foot, and you're telling me it's going to affect vision. They said, yep. So it did. On an MRI, it lit up. You can see the back of the brain there lighting up. That's the occiput part. That's where visual happens. So everybody got excited. They said, well, maybe this acupuncture thing has something to say. So they said, well, okay, they put a needle in there. But what was interesting, when you put light or even sound, it was even faster than an acupuncture needle. That's why I don't use my needles much anymore. I use cold lasers, I use frequency in those acupuncture points because they're portals in. And they're faster than the needle. But the meridians of the body are there. They've been there for thousands of years. Chinese figured it out and mapped it. And so it's 2 orders of magnitude faster than any known biological process. Sound and light. No, well, and tomorrow I'll get in more, but we know certain frequencies, like with 16 hertz is where muscle contraction happens. We know that one. We know nerve. I think I have a slide coming up in a minute. But there's a lot of hoopla out there about this frequency for that, and there's no science behind it. And it may work. Clinically, we work with a lot of these frequencies, but there's real hard science behind quite a few of them. So we're not frequency specific. Okay? Genetic manipulation. They are starting to change genetic changes in fish eggs, and trout were grown to have hooked jaws that have been extinct for 150 years. How did they do it? How did they change the genetics? This part of the body that we're talking about, the frequency. What about cancer? We know that tumors have a negative charge. We have devices that can measure the body. I'm not saying that this is how we diagnose cancer, but interesting that a lot of my cancer patients that come to me, where their tumors are, I can find them with these devices. We can measure it. I can see where there's low amplitude, there's a negative charge, and there's low voltage, and it's there. So I think in time, instead of having to cut so much and having to, search so much in other ways, we'll be able to use these devices. In Russia, they do. Scanar device and others that I'll get into a little bit more tomorrow. But we will, in time, start diagnosing more this way, looking at your body this way than the way we are now. Magnetite, it's a magnet. We know that from certain animals. We know homing pigeons and bees use that magnetite in their brains to find their way back. But interesting is that, we got all excited. There's magnetite in the human brain. And guess what? Then we found out every single cell, it all has magnetite. We are a homing system if we can tap into it. We also know that a dry tendon, and this is why exercise works, a piezoelectric, it means that when you move something, it creates energy. Your muscles are literally designed like a battery and just like a quartz crystal. We are designed as a quartz crystal. It's all interesting. So what the bleep do we know? Probably a lot of you have seen that movie. If you haven't, do. Those are Dr. Emoto has passed now, but Dr. Bill Tiller, he's an emeritus professor at Stanford. He was the head of the physics department for 40 years. He's my mentor, my buddy. He's in his 80s and he lives in Arizona, and I love Bill. Dr. Joe Dispenza, these are people to follow, to understand about your intention, about your body in different ways. This is what frustration looks like. This is what appreciation looks like. What that means is, one is incoherent waves. It's all over the place. This is negative for your body. Coherent, same amplitude, same space. They look alike. When we're in coherence, in love, appreciation, our body does amazing healing, does amazing things. Here's the slide. So we know 15 hertz. What happens? Capillary formation. It helps with skin necrosis, with burns. We use this, right? 10 hertz ligament, 7 hertz bone, 2 hertz nerve generation. It's kind of like a battery. When I'm doing this and this is my slides are progressing, or you're using your TV remote, it's the same thing. It's this frequency is matching that frequency and causing something to happen. So same thing. Our tissues, our cells, our bones, they all have a specific frequency. And they do well when they're giving the right kind. So get into what should you do, just basics. These are basics. Vitamin C is still one of the best things you can take. Omega-3s, be careful with their fish oils. There's only 2 companies right now that really test, not just for the mercury, they're testing for absorption. And out on the health food stores that you can get is Nordic Naturals. And the other one is through Zymogen Practitioner only, and they have a proprietary system where you can take 1 capsule equals about 4. So we've gotten better at fish oils. Probiotic, and that's, how many of you have had a antibiotic in the last 3 days? Raise your hand if you took an antibiotic, okay? The rest of you, did you eat any animal product, cheese, meat, anything, the eggs, did you? If you did and you didn't make sure that it was, antibiotic free, you had an antibiotic. If you ate out in a restaurant, you took an antibiotic. So, probiotics put back in the good bugs and that brain-gut connection, very important. We almost all need to be on a probiotic. When should they be taken? With a meal. Nutrition to end your day. Minerals, minerals, minerals. Helps you sleep. That's when they're best absorbed. Magnesium is fantastic for the heart, for your muscles. But better is getting a blend, again, the way that nature intended. And there's lots of things to help with sleep I won't get into right now. Moonlight, lunaception, lots of things. If you sleep less than 6 hours or more than 9, you're more at risk for all the chronic degenerative diseases. Less than 6, more than 9. So we know that it disrupts everything. We don't do well when we don't have that time for the body to detox, to clean, and repair. It's DNA. So what is the best thing I know for sleep? Music, and it has to do with the brain entrainment. Here's what happens. You're up in beta or alpha during your day. That's that busy mind thing. Go, go, go. Got all this going on. And then you lay down at night and go to sleep, go to sleep. And if you can't because of the busy mind thing, it's because you haven't been able to get down to the waves being slower and calmer, right? And even if you've crashed and you do go to sleep and you don't wake up rested, you're probably still sleeping and still running from the bear in your sleep. You never got your brain waves to come down to here. What's the best way to do that? Listening to relaxing music that's been designed at a slow to slow down your heart rate will in train start matching it, and your brain waves will start matching it. Wonderful, wonderful music out there specifically designed to help you get to sleep, and if you wake up at night, to get you back. But the point is, you need to go to sleep with it at least in theta, so you can get down there and do all the wonderful things the body needs to do. And this is music lighting up in the different areas of the brain and what happens. Music is frequency, right? It is frequency, and it's a great carrier. You can buy a device, you can do all kinds of things, but music's a great way to do it. Meditation, wonderful. If you say, I can't quiet my brain, I can't do the meditation thing, it's just too hard to do, I would say look into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. He does an active form of meditation where you breathe and you hold, you breathe and you hold. It's keeping your brain active to the point where finally it just kind of pops and you're in the meditation space without knowing that you got there. So if you have a hard time with really quieting the brain, Dr. Joe Dispenza, I really like his method, his way of teaching it. He's a master teacher. Aesthetics, why? Why do we care about that? Guess what? Aesthetic injections lifted depression. It affects us. Yes, we do want to look our best. We want to feel healthy and be our best. So if I want you completely healthy, yes, I do want you to take care of the way that you look. Do the best that you can. I was moving my house 2 days ago in Arizona in 110-degree weather. So I'm not looking my best at the moment. But I know that when my skin starts to do this, or I know what it's from. But I also know that I have personally chosen to do internal work to be able to have the external do what I want it to do. But don't forget that changing the body changes the mind, not the other way around. It's not a one-way street. We want to look our best. Botox or no tox? Botox is the most potent neurotoxin known to man. What does that mean? There's not a substance known that kills brain cells faster or more potently than Botox. And where are we injecting it? And I know the few simple mouse studies that have been done on it by the companies say, looks like it's safe. I think in time, watch and see. There are also studies out of other countries that have seen it in the liver, which means it's circulating in the body and crossing the blood-brain barrier. I would rather know my children, my son, I'd rather know my friends and have a few wrinkles. That's my philosophy, but I want you educated in it. It's not without. Mesotherapy, natural injections, they do all kinds of things. You've got things that can work, that can help muscle memory and keep you young and healthy, healthier looking. We all want to lose weight and look better, but we've got to pay attention, right, about how we're doing it. And the handle on your recliner does not qualify as an exercise machine. You actually have to do something, right? So what do we know now? There's lots of what's best, what's this and that. I will tell you now that interval training by the new science looks like it's the best. And that means a short period of time, and once you're where you want to be, when you're in your peak, you might get where you can exercise once or twice a week for 10 minutes with interval training. That means hard as you can, then calm it down, still go hard as you can. There's correct ways to do it, and you need to work with somebody who knows what they're doing, but you do not have to spend your life in the gym. You do not have to get out and exercise 2 hours a day, saying, I don't have time, I'm not going to do it. You have 10 minutes. There's not a person in here that can't say that you've got 10 minutes to do something every day, or really do hard interval a few times a week. It doesn't take much. You can do it. Enzymes, I think we forget about them. Enzymes are life energy for the body. I have lots of reasons for why they work and they help. There's digestive and systemic. Systemic bring down your inflammation, make you feel better if you have aches and pains. Look into those. They help many things. Even we've got cancer studies, all kinds of things. Digestive, help you absorb your vitamins and your minerals that you're eating. Digestive enzymes should be taken before a meal to start the process of breaking down your food so you can get all the good things. In conclusion, how long should we live? How's my time? How are we doing? Okay. How long should we live? Anybody know? What? How old? How long? Close. Yeah. Close. She said 100. Yeah. You're getting there? Good. Excellent. Good. Excellent. That's okay. That's okay. And I talk fast. You'll have the slides. You'll have the slides later. How old do you think we should live?
Well, I want to go at least, well, I'm 88. I'd like to
Okay.
see this gal graduate.
That's awesome. Oh, yay, another naturopath. Good girl, good girl. Good girl. We need more of us. We need more of us. So, in good health is what we want to say. So look, here's the lifespan in years. Japan, Switzerland, Singapore, Australia, Spain. We're down there. Our average is about 79.9. That's what we're doing. That's what we're living, but it's not what we should be doing. France ranks, it used to be Italy, and I'm like, good, I want to go to Italy. After 65 years old, the highest percentage of people who live over 65 used to be Italy. Now it's France. I don't love France. They don't like us. So, but Italy, I wish Italy still does well. We should live to, our cells are designed to live 120 years old. Why are we not? Our telomeres, all the things we're talking about, inflammation, all these diseases, all the toxicities, we are designed to live longer than we are. In the Himalayan mountains, people live to 120 to 140 in excellent health. That's the point. We can probably keep you alive till you're 100. On a machine laying in a bed, that's not life. That is not life, right? We want to feel good. We want to be good. So there's a lot of research going on, but in the next 20 years or so, it may be able to extend our lifespan by another 50 years. So what your parents did, we may get another 50 years on top of that. With the epigenetic, things you do in your life, changes. And a big piece of that, if you're not happy in your job or in your relationship, get out. Because that will age you faster and worse than any of these other things that we're talking about. So, look at this. Cambridge University, the first person to live to be 1,000 years old is certainly alive today. Whether they realize it or not, bearing accidents and suicide, most people now 40 years or younger can expect to live for centuries. Now that's one geneticist. I don't know if that's right or not, but he's at Cambridge University. But remember, live in good health. So if you're going to live that long, and I have a lot of, I have from athletes to babies, I have everybody, but I have a lot of seniors in my practice, and it's so funny, they go, I don't want to live that long, I'm going to be out of money, and all my friends are going to be dead. I said, okay, it's your choice, but they want to live healthy until the end, and you want to see her graduate, right? So you listen to her, what she's telling you to stay healthy. Your body is the best pharmacy in the world. Morphine is the strongest pain drug that we've got. 10 to the 9th power, 10 with 9 more zeros behind it, stronger than morphine, is your body's own pharmacy that you make when you're in a meditative, not running from the bear, sympathetic, I've got to survive and make all these things happen. When you're in that parasympathetic state, when your body is there, it makes the perfect pharmacy. No side effects, none, in the exact dosage that you need. Far stronger than any drug we've got. Far stronger. You are your best pharmacy. We have sleeping pills, tranquilizers, we make anti-cancer drugs, antidepressants, painkillers, your immune system, immune modulators. We've got it all. We are designed to fix ourselves. We can only do it when we're in the parasympathetic relaxed stage. Tomorrow I'll give you some practices, those that are coming, to learn kind of how to do that. And again, it doesn't take long, but you've got to tap into it. All right. You are the director. You are going to decide your intention, your belief system, how you want to live, how long you want to live. You're in charge. Interesting, I am finishing my book, and it's really for all diseases, but this one is for cancer specifically, of what to do when you find out you have an initial diagnosis. Cancer patients come and say, if I'd known then what I know now would have made different choices. Or they're coming and they say, I'm already scheduled for chemo and radiation, and I don't even know my doctor's name, and I don't even understand what I've got. They are disempowered. That is not a way to go into any kind of treatment. So my book is about get yourself put together in a time period to be able to make the decisions you want to make, whether it's traditional, alternative, or a combination, or no treatment. It's all okay because what you believe is the best. But you're the director, and we know that the more conscious that you are with yourself, with each other, and with the planet, we're all going to be okay. And we're going to live as long as we're supposed to be living in good health. And they're happy because they eat lard. So that whole ketogenic, now lard is animal fat. We don't want to do a lot of it, but it's far healthier than some other things that we've been thinking. The low-fat diet, everybody got fatter because they went to carbs and sugar. Fat is not good fats. Avocados, raw nuts and seeds, all those things that's good for your brain, good for your health. I would advise you to start looking, at least look into the ketogenic diet. And if you don't want to go fully that way and you still want to eat a combination of a lot of things, increase your good fats for your brain, because we have a lot of dementia and Alzheimer's. You must eat fat because you're pretty sharp. Good things. So, suggestions, there's me, drwarden.com, BarryGoldsteinMusic.com, Joe Dispenza I talked about, and Dr. Tiller has white papers, not that any of you, unless you are literally a physicist, but they're interesting to read through. I like it as nerdy. I have to interpret. When Bill lectures, then he goes on, everybody goes, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I don't know what he just said. The doctors, everybody, and then I get to interpret a little bit. This is what he said, and this is what it means. But these are great little websites of things that I think will help you. Mine is just, there's nothing on mine yet. I'm going to get better and start putting more information on there, but that's just me. But music that's being studied at Duke, and I have to, in all fairness, tell you that Barry Goldstein is my husband. We got married in January, and we moved in 2 days ago to our new house. So, but we are studying it with major universities, even MD Anderson with cancer patients. So his music is, I believe, doing what it's doing because of his intention when he creates it. He's not just putting it out there and playing a nice song and putting beats or frequencies or all these things into it. It's the intention. And I think that our intention in everything you do is the most important thing that you do for your health and for your life. So that's it. Question. Questions. I know, and then I know we have to be out in a certain amount of time. How long do we have for questions, do you think? A few minutes? Okay, all right. Yes, ma'am. What time? I thought it was 8:30. It's 9:30? Woohoo, I get to sleep in. 9:30, it's in this hotel in a different room.
For an hour, 2 hours?
No, it's 3 hours. 3.5, I think. Is it 3.5 hours? So really, my intention tomorrow is to really put together a game plan, take you through some processes so you can experience it, you can feel it, you can understand basics, and when you leave that you go, I got it, this is what I'm going to do, I feel good about it. So hopefully you'll leave with something that you can start. Yes, sir?
If you live in a different part of the country than Arizona, is there an association you belong to? Yes. So there are 17 licensed states. Some are licensed fully like I am, and like in Arizona, and others are not. So you can look up it's the American Academy of Naturopathic Physicians to see if there's one. Colorado did get licensure, and I was trying to look it up today to see the full extent. I don't think they can do all that I can do in Arizona, but they can do a lot. They can do a lot. Now, bioenergetic medicine is not part of our training. There's things I talked about tonight that are not what we learn in school, but good nutrition, good basics. They're good. And if there's one a state close to you, you can go see that physician, because once they have their hands on you for a physical exam, then you can do the rest by phone. You don't have to go back and forth. So I've actually got quite a few Colorado patients but they don't need to. You have naturopaths there that I'm sure will do a great job with you. Any other questions? I know a lot of information, but remember, the main thing, what you believe is the best thing for you if you've really tapped into yourself. If you've really sat and really concentrated, what do I feel right here, right now, is going to be the best thing for me? It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a doctor.
You don't have to have an education in it to have common sense. You know your body better than any doctor ever will. And it doesn't matter what treatment you choose. What matters is your belief in that treatment. That's my message. Your belief is the most important. And being able to get there to know what your belief system is. Yes, sir.
What do you plan on doing tomorrow?
Putting you through some processes to get into that parasympathetic state where you're not, anxious and running from the bear. We're going to put together specific protocols, like to begin your day and end your day. And I will take a lot of personal questions about things that are going on with health and help people that way as well. I'm not supposed to give medical advice, but I can give general advice. And so it'll be very specific processes and things that we'll do together as a group, and some lecture. I'll get a lot more detail on some of these things that we talked about tonight, like how you test for heavy metals.
Time with you?
Yeah, well, it'll be in the group, so if you don't mind sharing in the group, then, and most people don't, then I get to say, in general, this is how I would treat. Things like rheumatoid arthritis or MS, I use apitherapy, that's bee venom injections. And that's, so there's some unique things I do, and you won't learn that in school, but but I'll tell you where you can learn those things. But I'll give specific suggestions that you might not hear other places, and help you try to find people in your area to be able to do some of these things. Prolotherapy for, tightening up your ligaments if you're spraining things all the time. The athletes, we do a lot of prolotherapy, those kind of injections on them. So, yeah. Anybody else? All right. Thank you. I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. And, if you enjoyed this tonight, if you thought it was inspiring or engaging, we would love it if you would tell other people. Because I always say that once a program starts, it's like an airplane that takes off with an empty seat. That's just a wasted seat. And anybody that could be in these seats could be having the same experience. So we really want to spread the word so more people can take advantage of the wonderful people we're able to bring here. Denise, thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Be careful going out.